would say we're past that.
Right.
Absolutely past it. Speaking personally, my most recent strategy doesn't have a savings number in there. So there are other metrics that are out there that are far more appropriate for our actions, and we're able to show whether we've been successful or not through metrics such as involvement, engagement upfront, automation where appropriate. But savings is not the metric. It's one of, and it is when it's appropriate in the right project.
Yeah. Lucy, is that your experience of the industry, that savings isn't the measure now?
It's still most of the time the biggest conversation point, I have to be honest. And equally when...
And is that led by CPOs or led by the organisation dictating that to the CPO?
It's a bit of both. So quite frequently CPO reports into CFO. Certainly when I meet people to chat about their careers and their next steps, they define themselves to me by, this is my spend and this is my savings. That's the first thing that they'll talk about. And when I speak to the clients, usually CFO as an example, if they're looking to replace their CPO, one of probably the most quoted frustration with their procurement leader, and therefore the function, is that I don't believe these numbers. So they don't believe the numbers.
Yeah.
Because they're, single-handedly saved 500 million pounds or whatever, and quite frankly, if they saved that amount of money, they'd be paid an awful lot more than they were. So there is a disconnect, I think, and I think it drives the behaviours. And you've got to remember, people in the lower tiers of your teams that are actually, your troops on the ground, don't necessarily have the ability to interpret all of the other measures that add value to an organisation and kind of go straight to the savings, because that's what they think defines their performance.
Yeah.
So even if in the boardroom it's a much broader conversation about value adding, sustainability and time to market and quality and all of these things, that I'm not sure that message gets down to the bulk of the organisation, where they might not be involved early enough to shape some of those conversations. Therefore, the only way they can really add some value quickly is to just go and negotiate some savings.
Yeah.
And that drives some of those behaviours.
I think we are way past that point. I think organisations look to CPOs almost as a hygiene factor to be able to do that,
Yeah.
add value in other ways. I completely get the point as well, that actually as you go further and further down a procurement function, it becomes more and more difficult for those individuals on their own to do anything but perhaps more of a core job of cost reduction. And I think that's a big part of a CPO or a really good, strong leadership team, is help lift everybody in that organisation to be able to feel like they can add value. Yeah, we look at sustainability, we look at carbon neutrality, we look at consent compliance, we look at customer satisfaction, we look at supply chain satisfaction. There are lots of measures out there, but there is a hard core of, you've always got to stay cost competitive. You've got to keep your price point in that marketplace.
Yeah.
And value, I think, is a second place to that in reality.
Yeah.
It's not the be-all and end-all of procurement. It still has to exist because it is still everything that's asked in interviews. I don't think it's going to go away, but it's about how that message is conveyed. And, I think it's about working in partnership with your stakeholders, and savings benefit them as well. So.
Yeah.
It's there as a thing, but I think mindsets are changing, that it isn't the be-all and end-all, and the savings financially could be small, but it is the other added value that you've gained from that. So I might have only saved, 10% over a very long contract, but I've also given innovation. I've made a partnership with that supplier that I can now work with, and the project is going to have a different end goal to what it would have been if it had just been a savings.
Yeah.
We've brought social responsibility into it. We've got apprentices into that contract now. So there's so many other factors to it, but I don't think it's talked about enough, that it's not all about savings. And I think that is something that should be conveyed more in interviews, in job specifications, and other advertisements around procurement.
I think savings are important. You inherit a procurement team in an organisation that doesn't have great procurement, then your ability to get credibility is to set an ambitious 3-year value for money improvement, call it what you want, but at the end of it, it's a monetary type of value. That then gets you the credibility, if you're delivering it, that allows you then to expand into innovation, supplier, relationship management, etc. But without the initial credibility, call it savings for ease of it, you don't get the permission to enter the other areas. And then by about year 2 and year 3 in my organisations, you get to year 3, if you haven't completed the rebasing of what is value for money, then if you're continually doing hundreds of millions in years 4 and year 5, then there's something really wrong, that you're rechurning the same money in a way that's the CFO can't find it. But I think there is a phase you go through when the cost base and the value you bring is important to open the door to allow you the credibility to. But then innovation comes in and partnerships, and you get into driving the change agenda in lots of other ways. So yeah, year 2 and year 3, but by the end of year 3, you shouldn't be still talking only about money.
Something else.
There should be a lot of other things.
I just wanted to add as well that I think with savings, as someone that maybe was lower down in the chain of procurement, I often looked at it and thought sometimes it's pot luck on what the project is that you're going to get. If you get a massive IT project that's, you know, huge transformation, is going to reorganise the way something's done, yeah, you're going to make a huge saving out of it. A lot of my contracts were, you know, I've had a role in policing, and it was, you know, to do with nurses in custody. Well, how much am I going to realistically save out of that? And so you walk away from it and think, well, I don't want that project because, you know, I can't have a figure come out of it. And that's not what you want your staff to be thinking.
Yeah.
But there's a lot of things I could have done that actually would have made policing services operate better, which is a benefit for everybody. And that's what needs to change. And so if you focus on savings, you do set, you know, expectations by your team, and they're all trying to grab that big savings project, and it is a bit of potluck. And you need to make every project that's on the table interesting and attractive to your team, so that no one sits there feeling like, oh, I'm on the back foot on this one. I'm never going to be the top of the savings chart.
Can I just add to that? There was an amazing entry about 3 years ago. I was a judge in the procurement leaders, and it was fundamentally about life-saving treatment that we had to send people to Germany, and it was costing X thousands of pounds. And this procurement team went out of their way to create the operational capability in the UK to do that, which meant they could, for the same budget, treat 3 times as many people. And for me, that's a classic example of great value. So it isn't really about cost reduction per se, it's about value.
Yeah.
And then how you demonstrate that value is many different ways. We do a lot of amazing things, and ultimately it's the experience and the results that we deliver for organizations. Results in many ways, you know, whether it's CR&S, corporate responsibility and sustainability, whether it's risk management, you know, there's bigger roles than just savings. And I think I can only speak for Sainsbury's more recently, in that where procurement is now compared to where it was 2 years ago is light years in the boardroom, you know, is light years, and we're seen as a hugely central value-adding organisation.